Trump legal news brief. Judge Engoron says Trump's bias claims are getting old. As he prepares to deliver his judgment on the amount of damages former President Donald Trump and his co-defendants must pay for years of committing financial fraud in New York, Judge Arthur Engoron defends his request to lawyers in the case for information about plea deal negotiations for Trump witness Allen Weisselberg on charges he committed perjury during the trial. The United States Supreme Court, meanwhile, seems skeptical about the Colorado Supreme Court's decision to remove Trump's name from ballots. Here are the latest legal developments surrounding the former president who hopes to be re-elected to the White House in 2024. Judge Engoron defends asking lawyers for details on Weisselberg's reported perjury plea deal. Key players: former Trump org. CFO Allen Weisselberg, Judge Arthur Engoron, Trump lawyers Christopher Kise and Alina Habba, New York Attorney General Letitia James, New York Attorney General Counsel Kevin Wallace. Why it matters. Engoron is preparing to release his final ruling in the $340 million civil fraud trial and could levy staggering fines against Trump, his adult sons and his family business, and prevent them from doing business in the state of New York. Justices skeptical over barring Trump from ballot in Colorado. Key players: United States Supreme Court, Colorado Supreme Court, Trump lawyer Jonathan Mitchell, plaintiff's lawyer Jason Murray, Chief Justice John Roberts, Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Why it matters. If, as seemed likely from Thursday's arguments, the High Court overturns the Colorado Supreme Court's decision, Trump will have dodged a potential roadblock to his quest of being re-elected to the highest office in the land. Recommended reading. 17 ethics experts, former prosecutors and defense attorneys filed a legal brief in the Georgia election interference case brought against former President Donald Trump and 18 others, in which they argue that a sexual relationship between Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis and lead prosecutor Nathan Wade does not constitute an ethical conflict in the case. Lawyers for Trump, meanwhile, reiterated their position Wednesday to Judge Scott McAfee that Willis should be disqualified from handling the case. In New York, meanwhile, Judge Arthur Engoron gives lawyers for the state of New York and the defense in the $370 million civil financial fraud trial until 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday to detail what they know about former Trump Organization CFO Allen Weisselberg's apparent negotiations to plead guilty to committing perjury during the trial. Here are the latest legal developments surrounding the former president looking to be re-elected in 2024. Trump says Willis should be disqualified from Georgia case over relationship with prosecutor. Ethics experts disagree. Key players: Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, Judge Scott McAfee, lead prosecutor Nathan Wade, Trump co-defendant Michael Roman. Why it matters. McAfee will have to ultimately decide whether Willis's romantic relationship has any bearing on a trial that will focus on the extraordinary efforts taken by the defendants in the case to try to overturn the 2020 election results in Georgia. Judge gives lawyers Wednesday deadline to explain whether key Trump witness committed perjury. Key players: Judge Arthur Engoron, former Trump Organization CFO Allen Weisselberg, New York Attorney General Letitia James. Why it matters. Letitia James is asking Engoron to fine the defendants $370 million in damages and issue a ban on the Trump Organization doing business in the state. Weisselberg, who has already served prison time for tax fraud, was a key defense witness. If he pleads guilty to having lied under oath, it will further damage Trump's case. A 3-judge panel with the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit rules unanimously that presidential immunity does not protect Donald Trump from being prosecuted for his attempts to overturn his loss in the 2020 election to Joe Biden. Yet at the same time, the former president succeeds in delaying the start of his federal election interference trial in the hopes of pushing an ultimate verdict after the 2024 election. Here are the latest legal developments facing the former president seeking to be re-elected in 2024. Appeals Court rejects Trump's presidential immunity arguments. Key players: Judge Tanya Chutkan, Judges Florence Pan, J. Michelle Childs and Karen Henderson of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit, United States Supreme Court. Why it matters. If Trump does succeed in pushing the trial past the election, voters may not have the opportunity to hear the evidence presented in court, or to have a verdict factor into their decision on who to vote for in 2024. Polls have shown consistently that were Trump to be convicted by a jury of felony offenses, many Americans would not vote for him.